Showtime, people. The end as we know it. The wrap up of what has otherwise been a pretty disappointing season of The Boys. But I think it's safe to say that for moi, personally, this was the finale that we were all waiting for. Eli, unfortunately, could not make it as he's actually currently on his way driving down to me, actually. But I'm joined once again by Dustin, the Duster, Mason. Dustin, before we get into it, your thoughts overall on this season of The Boys?
For me, it's the weakest season of The Boys easily, and you can only hope for it to get better in the fifth and hopefully final season.
Well, hopefully they did confirm this is the final season.
I hope to God. I hope to God.
Let's hope. Let's freaking hope. We don't need another. We don't need 50 seasons of The Boys. We don't. We really don't. Tune in for the last time that I'm going to be able to play this badass intro graphic that I created. Stay tuned.
You do.
All right, Dustin. So we made it. The episode, which was previously titled Assassination Run, and has now been since retitled, obviously so aptly titled. I believe the title that they left on the official profile was Season 4 Finale, because they're literally like, shit, we cannot call it this. Absolutely not.
That's what I saw.
It's gotten a little too real.
It's called Season 4 Finale. That was and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
What pussies.
Everything that's been happening in the real world. Recently, I mean, like, as far as, like, I don't remember the last time we had a show that felt like it was, like, writing itself in real time as far as things go.
Sure, but to put a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode being like, oh, yeah, you're going to see some deaths that are
it's
little...
for the course at this point for shows to do that regardless of subject matter.
No, I mean, but, like, it's par for the course just to like be crazy on shows, and like you shouldn't like make too many parallels to real life, because then you'll sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist that they make fun of on shows like The Boys, So it's like I just think that's wild that they caved into the pressure, despite what unfortunately happened a few days ago with Trump and everything, but like, which is awful. I'm not gonna I'm not going to Kyle Gass it and say, oh, they should have.
Trust me, Kyle Gass is not the only one. The only one.
And it's kind of embarrassing. Like, you can hate Trump as much as you want, but come on, you don't have to. Wishing death on people is another level of like, all right, relax a little bit. But The Boys, on the other hand, is just. I just don't like this decision they're doing with like not sticking to their. Who cares if this episode was about, like, spoiler alert, the vice president getting murdered.
Spoiler alert. Yeah,
So,
I called it. Let's just get it out of the way now.
Yeah,
I called it a couple episodes ago. I had a feeling that of all the characters, it's funny because we've talked. I remember 2 years ago when we were talking about season 3, which we can agree the best season of the batch.
I agree.
The season where they really found their stride. And I guessed at the beginning of this season, it was kind of what they were setting up for. I'm like, okay, given the unpredictable nature of the show and everything, I'm like, Newman's not making it out of the season alive. We were guessing back and forth. We were going back and forth. I'm like, okay, is it going to be Firecracker? Is it going to be Sage?
I thought it was going to be Firecracker.
A-Train? I think we were both kind of hoping it was going to be Firecracker. Unfortunately, so after this past episode. And unfortunately, it was confirmed. We say goodbye to Congressman, Vice President-elect Victoria Newman, who unfortunately realized the error of her ways a little bit too late. Am I the only one that feeling that she got exactly what she deserved? Like, I'm sorry, you don't just get to flip last minute, realizing all the shitty things that you've done, and then all of a sudden expect that everything's going to magically be okay.
To be fair, though, she is one of the least evil characters out of the antagonists on this show, I would say, and they've built up enough empathy, and that performance works. Like, that's a good performance, and that's part of the reason why I'm mad they kind of killed her off, because at least whenever she came on, like, you're gonna get a well acted scene, whether the material is bad or not, and she's pleasant to look at. So that's just, it's sad.
Always helps.
She's not. It's going to be sad not seeing her, but they, like you said, and what I was thinking more so was they had to kill off a big character.
They had to. They had to.
They really did. And they technically killed off like 2 big characters. Technically, like Grace is like sort of like a really pivotal character.
She's not a main cast member, though. She's a pivotal character in the show, but she's not a main cast member.
Correct.
Yes.
But you get my point. But
I do.
What do you think about all of this? Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm glad that John actually, who was supposed to be on the show, but unfortunately couldn't because he was literally stuck in the middle of, I believe it was 5 flights or something like that, where I agree. It's the weakest season. So you would think it's the second weakest season. For me, it's the weakest season, for sure.
What's the worst to you then?
Yeah, I'm actually interested, John. What is the weakest season for you? Is it
the first season?
For me, it's this season, for sure. Because the way that I kind of go at it is season one was a revelation. It was a shock to the system. It came out 3 months after Avengers Endgame, and it was, I think, the perfect antithesis that we needed. We're like, okay, we just spent a decade with arguably some of the best superhero properties that we've seen, finally seeing the superhero genre medium elevated to the level that it should be as far as having the respect, love, admiration, and technical craft put into it that it had not gotten. And we saw like it at its ultimate idealized form. Now we're going to take that, we're going to flip it on its head, and we're going to present it as if it was superheroes in the actual real world. And I thought that for the most part, the first season, while flawed, did a very, very good job with establishing kind of this very cynical take on essentially what if superheroes were these bought out corporate puppets for the organization that essentially runs the world. You know, it was a not so veiled parody of Amazon, essentially. Then season 2 comes out a year later. We're in the middle of COVID lockdown. It's kind of one of the only things we have to look forward to. They introduce a brand spanking new character, and they definitely up the level of like, as far as like, okay, we showed you what we're capable of. Now we're going to take that up a notch. And season 2 for me, it didn't work as well as season 1 did. It had some episodes that were better than others, but I thought it was very inconsistent. But by the time we get to season 3, that's when it's like, okay, we know exactly what we're doing. And I thought the addition of Jensen Ackles in that season really, really elevated that to this form. This one, I do tend to agree with you. I didn't dislike this season as much as you did. But this season, my biggest problem with it is it definitely got a little bit too big for its britches. And even though it had a very clear direction that it was going for, I definitely think that it kind of got a little bit lost in the whole trying to be the real world thing. That, again, was held basically very closely by the fact that it was doing what the comics did. Again, while not adapting it to a T, the comics do end with Homelander leading a soup takeover of the world, and this arc of the story ends with him in the White House.
Really? In the comics? In
the comics, yes, that is how the comics end. So it's not like they're deviating super far, but in terms of them writing like, I guess, towards parodying the real world, I'm gonna say, especially with how it coincided with certain things in the real world, it got a little bit too real, to say the least. And I think that's kind of where it lost people. Not to mention there's just some of the writing choices as well. Particularly,
no, it's the deliberate choice of making like the dialogue so like zeitgeisty and like relevant, and like just trying to make so many parallels to Trump and like Trumpites or like anything like that. And it just distracts from the ultimate like satire of the show. Like, it's just too on the nose after a while. And I feel like this season's biggest detriment is that dialogue that just honestly just takes you out of the moment, and it doesn't feel as natural as it did in the previous seasons. It just feels like it's poking you in the wound.
What I will say to that is that what I give this season is, this is probably, especially in the hindsight of after having watched this episode, this season for me definitely had the least amount of deviation from where it was going. It had a few moments where I was like, I don't exactly know where this is going. And certain character choices and character additions and such that I was like, okay, like, what are we doing here? Like I said, Firecracker and Frenchie for me are probably the 2 weakest links. Sister Sage kind of supposed to be in, like, crowned as like the smartest character in the room, but then making a series of decisions that make no sense. Just certain things. This season to me was the most indicative of forcing the characters into positions in order to maintain the plot, rather than letting the characters and their actions determine the story. And I feel like in this episode in particular, it was finally the instance of, okay, the characters are finally taking a little bit of their destiny back all around. And we see the impact go all around for all the characters. We finally see essentially this version of The Empire Strikes Back, where the characters are at their lowest. Again, the soups have won. The soupocalypse is effectively happening ultimately. And while the characters try to stop it at the end, I mean, in a way, the only character that is actually smart in this episode is Singer. You know, in the sense of where if you guys had just killed Newman when you had the chance, none of this would have happened, you know, but they dicked around. They were trying to figure out all this other stuff. Butcher majorly fucked up early on when he tried to make the deal with Newman for the virus, and now he's suffering the consequences of that. And then ultimately, I feel like the characters are driven to a point where there is literally no turning back. You know, it ends, they're all arrested except for Butcher. Butcher's let Jeffrey Dean Super Tumor Morgan just drive his actions completely, and now we are where we are. I want to start with the Ryan bit of it all. You know, Ryan, the worst character in this entire show, but ultimately, again, it's the push-pull back and forth of Butcher and Homelander. I am interested to see where this is going to go as far as, you know, at the end of the day that he's going to be the one that is going to, like, pull Butcher back from the edge. He's the only one. But at the same time, it's also like...
He's going to have to kill Homelander.
Well, he has to. If Butcher doesn't kill him first.
No, it's going to be Ryan, whether Ryan likes it or not. You know, and the way that they keep, like, droning it on, like, he's seen his father at his worst, I would say, at this point. And I know he knows his dad's capabilities and how manipulative he is. I mean, unless he's just completely stupid. You know what I mean? But, like, for him to overreact and it, like, just what does Grace say right before she dies, too? That she said something like a hole, like a black hole or something. And I was like,
yeah.
And under my breath, I was like, yeah, you're gonna have a hole in the middle of your chest if you don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, literally.
And she gets killed like 20 seconds after I thought that, and she gets instead shoved into a wall and breaks her fucking neck on impact. So
yeah, it's one of those deliberate. It's kind of another one of those deliberate moments where it's like, okay, the plot is forcing this to happen, but at the same time, I feel like even more than at the end of season 2, where season 2, my biggest problem between this finale, the biggest difference between this finale and season 2 finale, and I think this finale actually did it better than season 2, is season 2 it felt like they pulled a Hail Mary out of their ass.
What was the season 2 finale?
The season 2 finale was right after, remember, John Dolman's character was going to testify. That was the first time that we saw Newman's head popping scene. And the boys were literally about to go on a rampage and declare war. And then Becca shows up.
Yeah, and the last scene was
the reveal of Newman after she kills Goran Visenjek, the head of the church.
Yeah, I automatically like that finale more.
Really?
Automatically. Yeah, it built up the next season great. It was a great like reveal plot twist of like, holy shit, Newman was the fucking one.
Well, especially because Newman was it wasn't even just that like Newman was such a vocal opponent of Soups. It was the fact that she was held in the background and like you didn't even realize she was a thing until it happened.
Was in the background enough, but they focused on her enough also. And I feel like that performance was just at a perfect pitch that by the time they did that reveal and we see her powers for the first time, and then in the next season, in season 3, like that, it just all came together for me. And I feel like it's been slowly falling apart ever since the finale of season 3.
Yeah, it's tricky to say the least because for me
they went the dark route with her character, unfortunately.
Yeah, they did. And so bringing it back to Grace and Butcher and the Ryan thing, right? Where so the whole thing is that like Butcher has been fighting this entire time, right? He's been telling Jeffrey Dean Tumor Morgan like we can trust Ryan. He's our ace of the hole. Even though Jeffrey Dean Morgan has been like, listen, like there's no way that you're going to be able to turn this kid. You need to get rid of this kid now, or he's going to turn on you, and you got to use this virus. And
well, that's just his that's his psyche. Like it's not
Jeffrey Dean Morgan established he's not a real character. He's a manifestation of the super tumor.
Like he was a real person, but he's just an imaginary figment.
Right.
That Butcher, like it's like his like devil on his shoulder.
Exactly. So I guess just when Ryan kills Grace, as far as that being the decision that finally sends Butcher over the edge, as far as like, okay, we have no choice. I've got nothing left. Like when I guess it's just because that's the first time that he sees Ryan kill somebody, right? And it's the fact of, okay, he's not an innocent anymore. Like, because Butcher, I just realized something. That's the first time that he's seen Ryan kill someone.
Right.
But it's not the first time that Ryan has killed someone.
Right. That's true.
You know?
But like, no, just the fact that like he killed somebody that wanted to protect him. That's kind of what solidified it from now on. I guess Becca is no longer going to become like one of the like she's never going to come back in the imaginations anymore. Good, because I hated that whole thing.
Yeah,
but that's I feel like this is the most contrived season by far. And as impressed as you are by the finale, and I am like impressed by certain elements, I'll give you that. Like when the superheroes are starting to like kill people in the thing. While it's rushed, it does have like those brief moments of like actual intense, like holy shit. We're in a moment, we're like a fly on the wall almost, and like, and then it's killed by the
murder boner.
I have a murder boner.
Murder boner. Yeah.
We're an immature bullshit show now. It's like, and
again.
I know like everyone's like, oh, it's always had that sophomore edge to it, but they don't know how to balance it this season. And the darker they want to go with the story, the less they have to rely on the gross out, oh yeah, bro, humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just getting distracting, and it's just very displeasing.
Yeah, you mean when the deep punches a hole through the writer's head?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Like, but preceding that, he has to say some bullshit, like insecure thing. That's just so. And it's just, it doesn't.
Like, oh, you're a writer. You get paid like shit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, boom. It's like he's just a complete social. I can't wait to see most of these characters just die a pitiful death.
Oh yeah, no, and they're gonna die in the worst ways possible. You know,
hopefully.
Yeah, especially also given the fact that like arguably, I think another thing about this episode is the best character this season, who's had arguably the best arc this season, A-Train, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
A lot of not even tease him in the fucking post-credit scene either.
Right.
They have to be like, oh yeah, by the way, a character you thought died isn't dead. Great tease. Great tease, boys.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We knew Soldier Boy wasn't dead. They told us that at the end of season 3 that he wasn't dead.
Yeah, right. But like, I hate that they had to keep it a secret the whole season. Just so, like, this whole season was just filler to like a build-up for the next season.
Yes.
It didn't feel like an actual, like, fleshed out, well done, thought out.
That's exactly what this is, because everything now has to be Infinity War and Endgame. The penultimate has to be the build-up for that. It's the same thing with Stranger Things. It's the exact same thing with Stranger Things. Stranger Things, this most recent season, did.
The thing about Stranger Things last season that was really annoying was that it was just way too fucking long.
That's true.
That's the least of this show's problems, is the length and the pacing. Is that's usually the best part of the show, is that it's not too long and it's excellently paced, whether the episode's good or bad.
Yes.
9 times out of 10. But yeah, I don't know, dude. This season's just been fucking annoying, and I appreciate that you like what this episode was going for, but it's a little too late.
And I'm with you. And the thing is, that seems to be the going consensus across the board, is that almost everybody is like, weakest season yet, hell of a finale. Which, again, I give it credit for that, because the fact that this show can still lock people in that way, given the overall, like I said, these thoughts are not exclusive to you and me. A lot of people have thought this. Like I said, the whole firecracker character, like literally, like when the Supes are rampage across Vought, I'm like, what the hell can this bitch even do powers wise? Why doesn't she use them?
I don't know why she was even allowed to be in the 7 to begin with, because she never, I said this when we were recapping an earlier episode, Dominic, right? Is like, she didn't live up to her end of the deal in that episode.
No, she didn't.
When her
whole
died.
way of, and her whole of getting Homelander under her control was literally just, oh, here's some breast milk, and then she can't even deliver on that because it's like having an adverse effect on her now.
Because she just knew that he had a thing for breast milk. How does she know that?
Right, that's not exactly common knowledge.
That's what that's another thing I didn't bring up in the last one. But seriously, like, Sister Sage said, yeah, if you do this for us, you're in. But she didn't end up being successful at it. So why would she be allowed in? That's the biggest plot hole of this season, and that character sucks.
I agree. Yeah, no, I like I said, I talked about the two, like, as much as I did enjoy this episode, I still had 2 major flaws with that, being, unfortunately, the 2 new characters they introduced this season, Firecracker and Sister Sage, because those 2 are kind of a little bit contrived and kind of just, again, inserted to where the plot needs them.
Sister Sage is the most annoying. I think she's more annoying than Firecracker. Firecracker is just a waste. Sister Sage is just there to be like, oh yeah, that was my plan all along, and insert shitty pop culture reference here. That's all she's there for.
Like, because I'm just trying to think of, it's like, okay, even if you're the smartest person on the planet, and you're theorizing like that this is how it's going to go and everything, they're like, okay, Newman dying is going to be our Hail Mary, and that's how we can get Singer arrested for his like anti-soup agenda and push forward like our pro-soup agenda, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, like, how in the hell would she have known, it's not, again, it's very deep state CIA knowledge about Butcher's tumor, that's not exactly common knowledge, and there's just been a whole lot of contrivances this entire time, because I'm just like,
well, she's just super perceptive, Dominic.
Oh, of course.
That's what it is. She just knows everything. She knows Ashley just is wearing a wig. She could just tell that.
Well, in fairness, anybody could figure that out. Apparently,
apparently, even though that whatever, that's a good fucking wig. Then I don't.
Yeah,
it's only a
shitty. My question.
It's only a shitty looking wig when they cut away and like get her a wig on. You know.
Here's my question: did Butcher and her ever actually have any on-screen face-to-face time once this season?
Who?
I don't. Sister Sage and Butcher.
Sister Sage and Butcher.
I don't think they did, even at the convention, because remember, at the convention, when she ambushes them, Butcher leaves and then comes back to save them. I don't think they ever have any on-screen time. So how the fuck would she have known about Butcher's tumor? Unless Homelander told her, because Homelander knew about the tumor.
Good writing. This is the writers of She-Hulk coming in, I think.
Literally. And she literally just comes in at the last minute after Homelander's finished with his latest temper tantrum. And she's like, oh, this was my plan all along.
Let's talk about another contrived thing. Another contrived thing is that fucking Shifter character.
Yes, I was going to bring that up next. The Shifter character. Like,
what a waste
the one good thing that came out of that. The one good thing that came out of that, we finally got to see Erin Moriarty cook. Because Erin Moriarty, really good actress. She's kind of been a wet blanket this season. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be the first person to say it. She's had nothing to do. She's just been miserable. Just been righteous for righteous sake. My powers aren't working.
She's been better the last few episodes.
Yes, the last few episodes were progressively getting better with her. And at the very least, she does magically, her powers kick in right when everybody's getting arrested at the end. And she manages to fly off and escape. And everything. Finally, we get something.
Yeah, everything has been so dour this season. At least she gets to fucking escape.
Right? She finally gets a win. You know? And the whole
and she can come back and save the day. And she's gonna have a big part of getting the boys out of prison.
Yes,
probably.
definitely. So I'm already predicting her and A-Train are going to are gonna break them out easily. Right? It's the only shot, because think about
it. I loved A-Train this season. He was like the one consistently good thing, and they still underused the shit out of him.
Yes.
And not even in this episode. He should have had like his own episode, I feel like.
Yes, I agree.
A la when Homelander went to the lab.
Yes.
I feel like A-Train should have had like a similar episode. He should have had an arc like that in this episode, I feel like.
I agree.
Instead of that fucking Shifter bullshit, which ultimately, and my biggest, this is one thing you didn't respond to in our messages. How the fuck can she just get strangled to death, but then get shot 17 times?
More great. Well, because remember, their skin is bulletproof, but they still need oxygen.
Good writing.
Rules of the show. Again, I'm not saying it's good, but again, there are the rules of the show. So,
all right.
Because the other thing that I was going to say is this is the first time, probably since season 2, where the boys, they don't have any allies left. Grace is dead. Sanger's arrested. Newman's dead. Like, the Jennifer Esposito character from the first season got her head blown off by Newman in that first season.
Oh,
remember her? Yeah. They have no allies left.
I was thinking, I was like, oh yes, Jennifer. She was one of the agents in the first season.
She was.
I like her a lot. Yeah.
Yep. And then they killed her in the first episode of season 2.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's when the show was starting to like take a turn for me. I'm like, okay, this is getting like actually
right.
Like, interesting.
And then when they impaled the whale 2 episodes later, I'm like, oh hell yeah! I'm like, we're in. This
season rules. Like season 2 kind of rules. It was starting to like, and the humor was working. The cut, the credits were perfect. Chef's kiss.
Yes.
It's like everything about this show. Like even the Nirvana needle drop this episode didn't give me a murder boner. You know what I mean? Like it didn't give me a musical boner at all. Like it was just like, you think it's so cool. You think it's so cool that you could just play the instrumental for most of it and then go into the actual song. It wasn't earned. In a great finale, that would have been earned, but this wasn't earned.
Yeah. What do we think Ashley's powers are going to be?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I was sort of telling you this. I think it's like sort of like a Megamind kind of thing. I think
that's what a lot of people have been talking about.
People are saying like, oh, she's going to destroy the Deep. Perhaps, but I think she's going to be a main adversary for Sister Sage.
I hope so. Because honestly, like it's funny because Ashley is like the one definition, and we haven't seen this in a while, where she's a joke character that they elevated to main character status, right? And kind of it just stuck around, and it's just progressively they've been dunking on her more and more and more. And this season she was like at an all-time low, like when you finally saw the Deep standing up to her and everything. And now I definitely think that if there was ever a time for her to like really start to take some agency on her own, like it would be now, especially after, ironically, both the dudes that she was fucking in the past couple seasons are both dead now. Cameron Coleman and Tech Knight are both dead. So I'm like, if there was ever a time for her to reclaim some agency,
Yeah, what happened to
now.
PJ Bird?
Oh, well, he's presumably he got killed when the boys were doing their raid of the Vought Tower,
Oh, that's right.
Presumably, you don't see it, but
We don't
yeah.
see it, but okay, that's still a little red herring, I think.
Yep, little red herring.
Yeah, I don't see her living through the end of the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, I see her getting her comeuppance.
Yeah.
Like getting her payback, I would say, like, on, like, certain characters.
Yeah, definitely.
And she'll probably get killed by Homelander. Ultimately.
Probably. But as long as she's the one that kills the Deep, it's going to be either her or A-Train that kills the Deep, but definitely her more than likely.
I think it's going to be her, and I think she's going to kill Sister Sage.
Yeah, which would be cool because, Sage, I'm just like, no. The two new additions this season were terrible.
However, though, this turn that they want to make with that character isn't as compelling as it should be because, like you said, they started her as like such like a joke character, and now they want to. And she's just been making the worst decisions throughout this entire series. Fuck this season, just the whole series,
the whole show. Like she has made herself.
She's like, one of the most unlikable characters.
Yes,
she's so unlikable.
The interesting thing about her is that that's another character that, again, by sheer force of will, similar to Newman, it's like, no, everything that you are suffering, like the whole ripping her hair out, the anxiety and everything, like you put yourself in this position. You are the one that sold your soul to the devil. You could have quit years ago. And now,
what did she say a few episodes ago that she had like an opportunity to leave and for another job
to leave for Disney? Yeah, and then
like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you just do that? You're not going to get killed at Disney, most likely. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know.
But there's not soups that work there is my point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That she has to, like, communicate with 24/7.
Right.
But, like, she was never a likable or empathetic character to begin with. So it's going to be, like, satisfying on one level just to see other superheroes die. But on a narrative level, it's not that satisfying for me.
Right. Now, Homelander exposing Newman on live TV, like, I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm just like, okay, so typical. I'm like, I wish we could have done this seasons ago as far as just like Homelander finally like just losing it, I mean,
I get why they waited this long. That's the point of this show, is that he gets nuttier and crazier and more irrational each season, and it's more unpredictable, even though it is in turn predictable for us, the viewers. But like, hopefully the next season he'll go even crazier, but in a more like grounded and like logical way than and less typical way than he has been doing things and the writing has been giving him. Because it's becoming repetitive. As great as that performance is and continues to be, it's just become repetitive.
Yes.
Sorry.
And finally, the end scene. Oh man, it's chef's kiss. It's what the episode was building to when, again, Newman is like, she's finally like, okay, I'm finally ready to come over to the side of good. I've gone too far. I've realized everything
at
that I've done
minute,
at the last possible minute. And Butcher, it kind of is perfect karmic resolution that finally like Butcher and Newman have both reached their endpoints. And Butcher's like,
even though that death is so like that death, it's like, I get why he did it, but even as a viewer, I went like, "Oh shit!" I was walking on my way to work. I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, literally. The same thought process. Same thought went through my mind too. I was literally I was like, "Okay, like she's not walking out." As soon as he walks in and he's given himself over to the devil, and we know it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan behind the wheel, and I'm just like, "Oh
that's
god,
how
what's
you
going to
pull
happen?"
off a character death. I would say, like,
I agree.
It was a little bit rushed, but they still like that performance overall was great, and like her comeuppance, it makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you just eloquently articulated it. So good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, and also, I know you want to talk about karma. Everything that she did was to try and keep her daughter away. And where did her daughter end up?
In the
same fucking place where she was raised.
In the
I'm
same
like,
place.
you did it to yourself, Vicky. You did it to yourself.
And then where's Samir? And then Stan Edgar.
Right, that's the thing. No Samir, no Stan Edgar, right?
Yeah.
Right. But honestly, like after seeing that kid and like, nah, that kid deserves to stay in Red River.
Dude,
that kid deserves to stay in Red River.
I just gotta say, I like that Newman character as like as a semi-antagonist, and it was a great performance.
Yes,
she
will be missed.
She got what
she
deserved for killing Goring Vizhniak.
Yes, agree. No, R.I.P. Newman. What's it called? Like I said, she was a male character in the comics, and she died in a similar way in the comics. So yeah, it was like I said. Unfortunately, you reap what you sow. You make your bed, you sleep in it, and unfortunately, she suffered the consequences. And as
she's sleeping with Jack Quaid.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Oh man, Jack Quaid is killing it right now. Honestly,
Jack Quaid's doing good, man.
Jack Quaid's doing very well. He was in Scream. He's working with Nolan. He's on season 4 of this show. He is killing it right now. He's the only nepo baby to admit, like, yeah, being a nepo baby's like great. You know, he's like the only one.
Not his exact words, but
not his exact words. I'm paraphrasing, but
he's like, no, I get it. I get why I have that label, but like, you know.
And then the final,
I love doing what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like a chill guy, but I stand by what I said the last episode. They underserved him this season, and they kind of fucked his character.
I agree, especially in this episode. I felt it where it's like, and he's giving him all this shit. How many times did you fuck her? It's like
I didn't know it was her. It
was you. Like,
yeah, it's like what? How can you blame him?
Yeah.
How can you blame him?
How would you be happy at me at the fact that I realized that you were not you when I did?
Exactly,
instead of just giving endless shit for it.
Right. The fact that and his speech at the end was cool and everything, and it was a good summation of what he went through in the season. But at the same time, it was a little too like on the nose.
The entire
on the nose,
entire season, too little, too late.
It was just so on the nose. It was like, okay, so I didn't even need to watch the whole rest. You just summed up what you just went through the whole season.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like, but and then the Rosemarie DeWitt thing too. Do you think that's gonna play like a part? Because she does work for a branch of VAR. Right?
I know, but honestly, considering the fact that after the Huey funeral run, we haven't seen her since, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time we see her. If that was the last time we saw her, I think that was only there.
Make any sense. They would have to.
I agree, but given the caliber of writing that's been happening this season, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised
either if they keep making it contrived and make her a fucking antagonist in the next season. I would not be surprised one bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. But
like, would she be for her son being in prison for this shit?
Right.
Because that's my question. Because it's like, you're going to be eradicated too, bitch.
Right.
Like, they're going to kill all the humans.
Right.
How are all the humans going to, like, if anything, I'll give the season credit for this. It's building up to probably the grand finale, the epic grand conclusion of this crazy ass show we've been watching forever now. It's like, what is going to happen?
5 years? 5 years since it premiered.
How are they going to defeat the Supes? And if they do, how are they going to rebuild their civilization? You know what you know, it's like, I don't know what they're going to do, and they're probably going to fuck it up.
Well, I'll tell you how they do it in the comics. The comics is Butcher goes nuts, kills the rest of the boys, kills Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kimiko.
And Huey?
Oh, no, not Huey. Not Huey. He's the only survivor. What's it called? Homelander pretty much kills Queen Maeve. What's it called? Huey kills A-Train. I don't remember. I think the Deep actually survived, but the Deep is much different in the comics than he is in the show. And then obviously Black Noir is revealed to be the Homelander clone. The Homelander clone kills the original Homelander. Butcher then kills that Homelander and then convinces Huey to kill him by claiming that he killed his dad. That's how the comics ends. And that just ends. That's where the comics ends. Needless to say, I don't think that's what we're going to be getting, to say the least.
Well, no, that wouldn't make any sense at all. None of that.
Yeah.
But because he just forgave A-Train, his dad's already dead. Queen Maeve's dead. None of that would happen. But like, what I heard, and what I wanted to ask you is, like, I heard the boys' comics actually sucks.
I cannot say for certain because I haven't actually read them. This is only based off of the plot summation that I've gotten. But what I've heard is
crazier and it's shittier.
It's crazier and it's much, much more cynical because Garth Ennis, the author, hates superheroes, like hates them. And from what I've heard, he's the type of author that will go with he will try to prioritize like the joke and satire over the actual plot, is what I've heard.
Okay.
You know, like,
that's what this show has been doing,
right?
To be honest with you, probably to a lesser degree than the comics.
Right.
What?
Yeah. So I guess my only question is coming out of this season before we wrap up and get out of here is kind of what like where do we go from here as far as like, so we obviously know the boys are in jail, and of course I love the montage of like the different heroes that are arrested. Like, we got Kate and Sam back from Gen V, and they took out Frenchie and Kimiko. We finally heard Kimiko speak. It's like, oh, now she speaks.
Yeah,
Finally.
I hated that. I hated that. I was like,
that's
all right,
the moment that
now
finally gets her to
you
speak.
talk. Now, are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do your little cutesy every season now?
Maybe.
Are you gonna do that? Or are you gonna talk like a normal person?
Yeah. And of course, who's the one that takes in Mother's Milk? Fucking love sausage. And then Huey gets arrested by the first head popper, what's called from season 2, the bald chick. So there was that.
Mother's Milk was done dirty this season.
I agree.
Oh yeah, let me ask you about that bald chick. When was the last time we saw her?
Season 2, at the end of that episode.
At the end of what episode?
The episode with the asylum where she was first introduced. That was the last time we saw her.
Yeah, but like, what was the conclusion of that in the
the conclusion of that was they brought Lamplighter, Sean Ashmore's character, to grace.
Oh, he was good. He was really good.
And then he killed himself in the next episode.
Yeah, Sean Ashmore was terrific actually on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess she is an entity, because I was confused. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen her before, but like what? I forgot if she was like for them or like again. I forgot. Like I haven't rewatched the last few seasons in a while, so I'm sorry if I'm rusty about it. But like I definitely remembered who that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I guess just kind of the only question, like, so where Ryan is going to end up as far as that goes, right? Because obviously we can assume that Annie will find A-Train and they'll break out the rest of the boys.
Yeah, they didn't show Ryan. Where did Ryan? What happened after he killed Grace again?
Ryan just left.
Oh yeah,
he just left. Yeah, so who knows where he is? And then Butcher, like, where does he go? Like, and also, is there any of Butcher left in there, or is it just Jeffrey? I'm assuming there is, and I'm assuming that he is going to have a come to Jesus moment in next season when he inevitably gets his fight to the death that he's always wanted with Homelander.
Sure, but do you think this show is actually going to like go against the grain and be like, no, Ryan is going to join his dad and they're going to rule the world forever?
No, because that would be too straightforward. And with that character, the show has to be the constant pushable back and forth. Oh, who's with Butcher? Oh, who's with Homelander? Oh, who's with Butcher? Oh, who's with Homelander?
I hate that bullshit, though.
I agree with you. I'm with you. I hate that. It's because it's fake tension is what it is. It's fake tension.
It's exactly fake tension, Dominic. Perfectly said.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Yep. So with that being said, Dustin, that was The Boys season 4. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting push-pull back and forth for these last 6 weeks, but we are finally done. I finally get my Thursday nights back.
We covered everything, you think?
We did. I think we covered everything. That's pretty much everything that needs to be covered.
They did nothing with Frenchie.
No. Pointless. Again, Frenchie was reduced him to plot device. It's like, oh, make the virus. Oh, you're guilty about killing this dude's family.
This show is just like, this season, a lot of the scenes for me was just like, okay, give us what we want. You're dead.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean?
Pretty much. So if you had to rate the season out of 5, what are you giving it?
High 2 out of 5.
I'm going to go 3 out of 5 overall for the season because the finale saved it. It was a 2.5 for me up until this point.
You still think it's the best episode of the whole show? That's what you messaged me.
I do have to consider it, definitely. But for me, this was a really, really strong episode, I think. Despite all of our flaws and nitpicks,
the fact that it is rushed.
It is rushed, but again, I blame that on the season, not this episode. It's very clear that like this was the episode that they wanted to do, and everything else was just filler build up until it, you know? Yeah. And for the moments that we got in this episode that were amazing, and we got some amazing, like when I think back about like what some of the defining moments of this show are when it's eventually said and done, like a lot of them are going to come from this episode. And that's no small feat.
I thought you were going to say this season overall.
No.
Okay,
no.
Good.
This season promised us flying fucking sheep. And that episode was such a letdown. Such a letdown.
This is the worst season by far.
It's the worst season of The Boys, for sure.
Because it's been consistently one of the better shows on television for me, and it's one of the more exciting shows and one of the more bold shows. and I just think it's just become a little
Yeah.
immature for my
Yeah.
taste.
Needless to say, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this in depth of a recap when it comes to the final season, which especially since they're not doing
Well, if it's great,
if it's great, right?
like, let's give it the first episode. If the first episode is like leagues better than the first episode of this season, which I have a feeling, Dominic, it is.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Let's give it a shot.
We'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot at the very least. It's just, again, every time we do one of these week-to-week recaps, except unless it's Succession, they always end up disappointing. Every single time. We have a history of it on this podcast.
Pretty much, yeah.
Every single time we've been ready, okay, this show's got us. We're going to do a week-to-week recap, and it sucks.
Even the worst episode of Succession is better than, like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Boys.
You
like,
know,
and I'm on Serialized, by the way. I don't know if you follow me, Dominic.
I do not, but you should. But I will follow you. I'm assuming it's still at Duster Rhymes.
Duster Rhymes 95. Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out. Selena Gomez got her first Emmy nomination.
And first Emmy nomination. That's right. That's right.
I'm just happy about that. That's nice.
Yes, definitely.
They snubbed Mulaney though.
Yes, they did.
They snubbed him.
They snubbed him.
The Bear. Yeah.
The Bear. Yep. Who else did they snub? What? First of all,
there wasn't
way too many nominations for the morning show. Way too many nominations.
I could already tell that. Like, was Duplass even in?
Yes,
a lot of this season.
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
Haven't seen it. Have not seen since halfway through season 2, where they're like, "Oh, we're doing COVID this season." I'm like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Season 2 was awful.
Yeah, I couldn't even make it through that season halfway through when they literally had Carell drive himself off a cliff. Yeah. Stop it! Like,
that episode was literally telling Matt Lauer to kill himself.
Yes,
I'm convinced.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Without question.
It's just like, hey, Matt Lauer, kill yourself.
Kill yourself. Literally.
Go to Italy and kill yourself.
Yeah, literally. But I like the Reservation Dogs nominations. I like the Slow Horses nominations. You know, some shows that were very, very overdue. Matt Berry getting a nomination. Did not see that coming. I was very happy with that.
The who?
Matt Berry for What We Do in the Shadows. Very happy about that.
No, that was cool. But the more surprising one, and the one that made me think of you, was the kid from Reservation Dogs.
Yes, him too. I was very, very happy with those couple nominations.
He's going to be the co-lead in Warfare.
Which hopefully will be better than Civil War. I'm hoping.
I mean,
better.
We're overdue for a great war movie.
Yes.
Like a great buddy war movie.
Yes.
Like, and this has an excellent seeming ensemble. And he's like one of the co-leads, and he plays the co-writer, co-director of the movie.
And Sterling Harjo is who did Reservation Dogs is co-directing this movie. And like I said, Reservation Dogs is honestly one of the best shows of the last couple of years. So,
wait, is he? I thought it was Alex Garland.
Alex Garland is co-directing. I'm pretty sure with Sterling Harjo.
No, it's Alex and Ray Mendoza is the guy.
Oh,
and Ray Mendoza is who DeFaro Wantu is playing.
Oh, okay. Well, why did I think that it was?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'll look it up afterwards.
Charles Melton and Joseph Quinn and Michael Gandolfini are in
That's a good cast. That's a really good cast.
The guy from Hitman that played her ex-husband is in it. So, like, yeah, that has a cool looking cast.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show. But regardless, like I said, The Boys, it's over with. Hopefully, we get season 5 next year because I don't want to have to wait another 2 years for this season.
I'm sick of that.
I'm really sick of that.
It makes sense because like the visual effects are like probably the best.
True, but
show, and that takes like a lot of time.
True, right? But you know how I know that that's not the reason? Because they put out season 2 a year after season 1. That's why.
True. That's true.
Yep. Season 2, the 2 to 3 delay was because of COVID, and the 3 to 4 delay was because of the strikes and Gen V.
All right, but like maybe this isn't the case, but like this is more like in general of like television stars, but like the longer like a really successful show like this goes on, like and like some certain stars of the show like get bigger and get more opportunities, like a Jack Quaid, like maybe that like sort of delays the production, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Because Jennifer Aniston did plenty of movies during Friends.
Right, exactly. So like it depends on the production really. But like I said, with that being said, that is it. That is our recap of The Boys season 4. Thank you guys for tuning in week to week as you guys have. It has certainly been a wild ride to say the least, despite the varying quality. Dustin, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Put the links there. My letterbox. I want more followers. I think I'm a good writer. Duster Rhymes. YouTube, Mr. G Movie Reviews, and Twitter, Duster.
Yes, sir. At Movie Nerd Reviews, at Official Talkin TV Podcast, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the above. You guys know what to do at this point. I'll see you guys.
Letterboxd. Dominic's on Letterboxd.
Yes, I am. It's at Movie Nerd Reviews. Same thing across all platforms. And like I said, 12 seasons in a short film. And we'll see you guys
watch more fucking movies.
We'll see you guys next time.